You are now listening to the Pelicans postgame report. Flash report.
For all things Pelicans, you're now tuned into the Pelican postgame report, Flash report. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being on this episode of PPR. Much love to the fam. In this episode, man, we're going to go over some 10 keys to victory for the Nuggets. But, of course, we're going to come with some news items today for the faithful to kind of talk about the what's going on with our Pelicans, man. We got several articles to kind of tamp down on that we want to kind of discuss. And let's kind of get into this one right here, man, from Clutch Points, man. They had a pretty interesting article that I wanted to share with the fam. This is 5 fixes of 5 recommendations that the writer, Dotson, recommends that James Borrego puts in immediately. Williamson's Pelicans needs Borrego to fix Derek Queen's rebounding, work with Jose Alvarado, and help Herb Jones heat up to win. Let's go over this article. Shout out to him for giving some ideas, or at least adding some fresh information into it. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically, starts off and it kind of sets the situation up. Talk about as Borrego coming into tough matchups against Golden State and OKC are not, the most ideal way for an interim coach to step in this thing and try to, make his presence felt. But regardless or not, man, whether it's against them or any other bottom feeding team, the reality is that the Pelicans, man, they're going to learn from these beatdowns that they're getting, man. For real, these are some tough teams right here that's showing them how to play proper basketball. And you can see by contrast, the Pelican style versus Golden State versus Denver versus San Antonio versus OKC, how successful basketball looks like, right? And in comparing that to what you're doing, it's a stark contrast, right? We can admit to that. So let's take a look at some of the things that the writer, recommends that they do, right? Solving the starting lineup puzzle. This is what he recommends. Borrego's first major decision was his smartest, starting Derek Queen. The rookie didn't just earn it, but demanded it. Troy Weaver, who is the, assistant to Joe Dumars. Some think he's I say he's de facto general manager. Raised eyebrows when he surrendered an unprotected 2026 first round pick to secure Queen. Kind of asset stripping move that gets general managers fired, but if it works out, but that's the thing, it's going to work out. But Queen looks like the rookie of the year front runner and a future all-star from the supporters to the front office. The Pelicans haven't fallen this hard for a rookie since Chris Paul arrived 2 decades ago. We got a very good young class with Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, and they're contributors to the team, solid contributors to the team, and both of them are starting. That is a very positive thing. And plus, Peavy is, he had 16 points the last game. He has to be included in this too, because I think there's a place for him on the squad. The Queen coronation was easy. The real challenge comes when the bodies return to health. Zion should be back before Thanksgiving, bringing his 23.7 rebounds and almost 5 assists a game, which should help. Williamson's 0 3-point attempts and troubling 3.4 turnovers in 31.5 minutes do not. DeJounte Murray remains sidelined until after Christmas, maybe later. Sadiq Bey's ankle keeps him day to day. Murray's ball handling should be a boon to rotation, star for stability. Williams' restricted area dominance is unmatched, but integrating him without disrupting Queen's rhythm will require finesse. Borrego needs a plan for when everyone's healthy. Who sits? Who accepts reduced minutes? Can Queen and Williamson coexist? I say yes, they can. These aren't hypotheticals anymore. These are good problems to be represented with, to be honest with you. Zion Williamson losing value. Everyone knows Zion's upside, but his value is no longer being measured in potential. It's in availability. This is very true. And more quietly in functionality. 5 games, that's the sample size for Zion Williamson this season. In those 5 games, he looked like the player the Pelicans hoped he'd become. Productive across the board, 2.2 combined steals and blocks, still capable of dominance in the restricted area. But he hasn't attempted a single 3-pointer and practically guarantees a personal offensive error roughly every 10 minutes, right? Building around a player who can't consistently stay on the court and refuses to modernize his offensive game presents presents an impossible task. His restricted area success rate doesn't matter if defenses can sag off him from beyond 15 feet. This writer is intelligent, man. He's hitting on some of the things that we talked about on PPR for a while, whether it is the injuries that stall in the development of Zion. We know that he's good inside or around the rim. He's dominant there. But when we get to the mid-range area, that is the aspect of it. He's talking about 3-pointers. I care not about the 3-point shot. I'm just trying to get the guy to get used to shooting mid-range shot. This is the bottom line. This type of stuff has to happen. We have to be able to get in the position. He is comfortable shooting mid-range shots, whether he's healthy or not. He has to be able to develop that aspect of his game, because that could be a huge boon to him. And I just don't understand, being that he's been here for what, 6 years, 5, 6 years, however long Zion's been here, that he has not developed a consistent and thorough mid-range shot that he uses consistently when he does play in NBA regular season action. That is something that is very, very interesting to me. Williamson's worth to the franchise has become the central question Borrego must answer, not just in terms of on-court production, but in how the entire system accommodates his limitations. The cold truth is New Orleans has looked more cohesive, more functional, more modern without Zion for long stretches. Trey Murphy III and Brandon Ingram led those postseason runs. For the most part, Queen's emergence has given support to something Williamson no longer provides: hope tied to availability. Borrego's experience as a head coach should help with the max contract-based balancing act that Zion represents. So this is good points a game, and this is something that Coach Borrego, who's a smart coach, has to figure out with Zion Williamson. First and foremost, a lot of people have kind of given up on Zion Williamson. I have not, and I'm going to tell you why. I have not given up on Zion Williamson because I want to see what Zion Williamson with Borrego, Zion, Queen, and Fears and the rest of these guys look like. These guys are basically brung here to help and assist him. He's the central part of the internal guts of the matrix, so to speak. Everybody was brung here in an opportunity to, operate around his gravity for the game to get better. He has to continue to develop, and a lot of this is just not on the Pelicans, it's on him. He knows that he's supposed to have a mid-range shot. He's supposed to have I'm sorry for that, fam. This dumbass ad up here keeps turning on. I just turned it off. But this is the thing that we have to deal with if you the Pelicans. Zion has to continue to develop that mid-range shot. That'll make the game so much easier for him, because what it does then do is it allows the game to be less physical. It'll draw people out to him, which will give him access to lanes that he can get to the basket easier. They just crowd the paint because they know where he wants to go. Pull up and take that damn shot. That's what you do. Pull up and take that shot. Anyway, the next one, Pelicans being boxed out, right? Pelicans being boxed out. Borrego's job is to code more variety out of Williamson's game without breaking what already works. However, the All-Stars' rebounding numbers are slightly inflated thanks to the gathering personal misses for second chance points. Those offensive rebounds matter, but they are isolated events. The Pelicans need to dominate on the glass to give themselves any chance of beating the West's best, right? Against the Thunder, the Pelicans had one team rebound in the first quarter. Yes, indeed. I've talked about this all the time. Peavy grabbed the first player. He grabbed the first player credited rebound on ESPN play-by-play tracker. About 39.6 seconds remaining. The rebound is not just a weakness; it's an identity failure. New Orleans ranked 26th in team rebounding, a fundamental failure that undermines everything else Borrego tries to implement. Yes, Eves, Sadiq, DeAndre Jordan, Kevon Looney, and Carlo Mekovic are all faced reduced playing time once healthier bodies return. One of them, likely the worst rebounder, may not see the floor again this season. However, the crisis extends beyond the obvious front court suspect. Herb Jones, the team's best defender, has been a ghost on the glass. He ranks 12th on the team in rebounds per 100 possessions, trailing Jose Alvarado and Jordan Hawkins. That's unacceptable for a wing of his size and motor. So yes, Herb trying to get back into it, but Herb's trying to, I see what Herb's doing, concentrating more on his, what can I call it? More of in his offensive game. Now, he has some pretty decent defensive plays to go along with there as well. But like I said, man, it's one of these situations where it has to be a part of your identity to be a team that at offensive rebound. You got to be able to offensive rebound. You got to get in position to get potential misses. We can't take a shot and expect us to take a shot and it'll hit, we'll make the basket, then to get to defense. No. We need to be able to be there in position for a potential miss, and that is not done enough. And that's something, it's a lot of stuff he has to fix because Willie Green left him a lot of stuff that's broken. The fix isn't complicated. Somebody has to want the ball more. Schemes help, but rebounding remains about effort and positioning. Right now, the Pelicans have neither. Borrego doesn't need an all-star big. He just needs someone to stop the bleeding. Yeah, do your damn job. somebody, they need to think too. That's what we talked about last night. My diatribe toward the end of the show was talking about the dumb switch and the non-intelligent switching. You only switch when it benefits you. You only take a matchup that benefits you. You do not take one that does not benefit you. Meaning Jose Alvarado, he's a repetitive offender of this, switching out to guard the big center, and the center then calls for the ball because they got a mouse in the house. I mean, that's just dumb, man. Just don't switch for the hell of it. Be an intelligent switching team. You got to think about what you're doing. Smoking hot Herb Jones. Herb Jones shot 40% from the three-point range in his last full healthy season and 36.6 career mark from beyond the arc. This season, facing constant deficits and offensive droughts, he was pressing early. His shot selection has suffered, forcing attempts that better offensive teams would never need from him. Thankfully for the Big Easy's NBA play-in tournament hopes, Jones still no slouch on defense either. Against Golden State, Jones conducted a defensive clinic with Steph Curry. He did a really good job on that. Just everybody else lit the Pelicans up. Deploying every baiting, hooking, staying attached through screens, trick. Jones deployed that first team all defensive arsenal. Jones locked down hard when the Clippers visited. Luka Doncic and Devin Booker have been dejected when explaining they're not on Herb's experiences. So Herb's done a good job here or there with some of these defenders, but yeah, a lot of times teams leave Herb Jones open to take shots, and some he missed, some he hit, some he missed. Now I remember last game he really didn't do a good job. The last couple of games have not been really hitting like that. We had a couple of games where he was knocking the 3-point ball down, but Herb's offensive game is not back like it was prior to him being hurt. The defensive prowess hasn't vanished. Borrego must build Jones back into the offense, allowing him early corner looks, script actions that force defenses to honor him. His value is too high to let him drift. The Pelicans need their best defender to start pulling double duty, again. Jose Alvarado is the next talking point, right? His final act. Jose has been off the bench spark plug the Pelicans have wanted for 3 years. Grand Theft Alvarado is more than a meme. The Puerto Rican national team star is an energizer, a grinder, and a cult hero. I don't know about all that, man. He's an energizer, but damn, a cult hero. But he's a pending free agent. Alvarado has a player option for next season, and barring injury, will decline it. He'll seek years and money that New Orleans probably can't offer. For a team that just surrendered a future unprotected first-round pick to acquire talent, Alvarado represents the rare path to another asset. Boosting Alvarado's value before the trade deadline, either as a hitting star or a spark plug six-man, helps everybody. Every strong performance raises Alvarado's market value. Every game he spends on the bench wastes an opportunity to recoup assets the franchise desperately needs. When Murray eventually returning, there go your assets right there. And draft pick cupboard bare, Alvarado represents one of the few paths toward replenishing organizational depth. But both of them do, really, think about it. But a $30 million player like DeJounte Murray arriving with the Pelicans in 2026 is definitely on many people's trade list. Now, what will you get for him? That's a whole nother topic of discussion altogether. Borrego inherited a franchise trapped between winning now, desperation, and rebuild necessity with a superstar whose body won't cooperate in a salary structure that becomes a straitjacket. Still, he chose to take the job. He's the assistant coach. The man got fired, so he steps in there. You remember, James Borrego been trying to get a head coaching job. Teams have turned him down. He went to Cleveland and all these other teams. He had two, Detroit and Cleveland he had interviews for, and they turned him down for other coaches. So he has an opportunity now if he wants an NBA job as a head coach, right? The responsibility to extract something functional from the chaos. The 5 fixes won't solve everything. Some problems run too deep for any coach to repair mid-season, but they're the minimum required to keep the season from becoming a complete disaster. Pelicans need to work fast to salvage an otherwise lost season. So this is indeed the case. These are good. I don't agree with everything the man said, but at least he's infusing some ideology or some new ideas into the mix when it comes down to the Pelicans, right? I can respect that. But, like we said, when we talk about the Pelicans, the reality of the situation is whether you're a Borrego guy or not, we have to see what Zion Williamson look. And I think this is Zion's last act, to be honest with you, family. To start off the season, they had a situation that occurred with the women, and if you guys remember that, they were really close to getting rid of Zion Williamson. The word on the street was they were wanting to trade him then. Like all the stuff with the women, you mean that Zion having all this other stuff going on with the women fighting and all this kind of stuff. And that wasn't really his fault that time around. The woman came over there. Maybe it was. Who knows? But the reality is you're not healthy. You're not on the court as much as you're supposed to be. Every year, some type of issue situation. How many years do you think the team is going to be patient with you before they pull up stakes. And now you're making more money than you ever made before. And a lot of people saying, Q, he wasn't really hurt this last time around. He just didn't want to play for Willie Green. The same thing they're saying about Jordan Poole. Which is interesting, and a lot of that is factual. But in the end, Zion Williamson, this is last go around, fam, for real. If it doesn't work this year, I think Zion is definitely out of here, man. They can't wait forever. That's why you got young players like Queen and Fears to take the ranks. If Zion Williamson, this is not a situation where Zion is supposed to be where we wait for him to reach potential. All this, no. All that potential stuff is over with. Trey Murphy, who's been here for 5 years now. Zion's been here for 5, 6 years, whatever it is. These guys need to win right now. Whatever they are, they need to magnify and make and take the team and help the team win. There's no more all this potential talk. He has to see if he can work with the young talent that they have. If he can't, they're going to make a move on Zion Williamson. You can't wait forever. And I think this is his year. If he don't show him something, I think Zion Williamson is definitely going to be out of here, man. I'm just going to keep it real with you on that. All right, let's keep it moving, man. Let's hit this up. How about some good news here? NBA Rookie of the Year race. Where does Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen rank? What do they rank? The Pelicans are in the midst of another lost season as they're headed to the lottery for a second straight campaign in the Stack West Conference, getting out of that 2-12 hole that they dug themselves in. Nearly impossible. Naturally, they need to embrace the future, and the future belongs to Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, the duo. You're right. So it's hard to point. It's hard to point to good things that the current administration has done since taking over, giving up the unprotected 2026 first round pick. These writers need to cut that out, man. You already see that Derek Queen is a beast. Cut out the talk about the foolishness about the 2026 pick, man. He beat that. NBA draft was certainly the most questionable move made. The trade looks even worse now that it's been. It's not worse. No, it's not. Cut it out. After the same time, Fears and Queen looks like the excellent selections after the first 4 weeks of the season. In fact, the two rookies are off to the best starts in the league among the first year players, because a lot of these players, the Pelicans have 2 first round rookies and both of them are getting major minutes. Jeremiah Fears is very good, right? He's a young player who's only going to get better. Him having games where he's battling up against Shy and him battling up against Harden and all these other surly NBA veterans and all these other people. That's only going to make this young kid better. Remember, this guy's a workout warrior, being a gym early. This guy is headed for greatness. So we know what time it is. Fears didn't even have a preseason. He was hurt in the summer league, missed all of preseason with that hand issue and came in and he looks like that now. Just imagine what he looked like if he had a preseason and how far along he looks. All these writers with this unprotected nonsense. It was a gamble and the gamble paid off. Let's just be honest, right? Let's just be honest about it. All right, so is the NBA rookie ranking, who should be the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year? There are currently 15 rookies in the league who played in at least 10 games and have an average of 15 minutes per game. Cooper Flagg, BJ Edgecombe, Akan Canupel have played the most minutes and have scored the most points in ESPN's BET or Bet. Those 3 are in a separate tier of candidates. Flagg is being the favorite, followed by Canupel and Edgecombe, right? Behind those 3, however, is a wide open race. Cedric Coward of the Grizzlies arguably has the strongest argument, as he is currently leading all rookies in almost all the advanced matrix, including the BPM and win shares. He's already very efficient from a 3-and-D player, averaging about 14 points a game, almost 48% shooting from the field, 38.7% from downtown, and shooting 90% in these splits. So Queen and Fears are not that far behind. Fear leads all rookies in usage rate with 27%, followed by Queen with 22.4. They're both at 53.4 true shooting, below average, but currently above average compared to the other rookies. Now, Queen is the best on and off rating among the rookies, as the players 18 points per 100 possessions, better with him on the floor than off, according to CleanTheGlass.com. Ace Bailey, Colin Moore, Murray Boyles, Trey Johnson, Ryan Kalkbrenner may all be in this race, and they should be front runners to make an all-star rookie team in the end of the year. So far, Canupel may have been the most impressive rookie, averaging almost 18 points a game and 6 rebounds right now, almost 3 assists as well. So not bad. Flagg may be behind him for now. He should be considered the front runner, especially with the Mavs eventually becoming his team, as they would inevitably give up the season. Edgecombe, on the other hand, is trending downward, after a very hot start with the Sixers. Now, the race for the Rookie of the Year perhaps will change more than any other race as the rookies' roles with the teams are bound to change as the season progresses. But for now, Queen and Fears are firmly in the mix, albeit being a little lower than some of the front runners. My rankings as of now would be as follows: Connuple, Flag, Edgecombe, Queen, Fears. And listen, it's definitely going to change because Queen and Fears are going to elevate on this list. We know Cooper Flag is going to play a lot of game. We know VJ Edgecombe is doing really good right now, and Coward's doing pop. But I think Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears is a combo of rookies that are very rare. And for the Pelicans, Joe Dumars to put these two young, talented players together is something special for the future. So even if questions will be answered this year about what Zion is to this Pelican team, I don't think they go beyond this year into next year with Zion Williamson. I think at the end of this, if Zion Williamson can't remain healthy and he's constantly in and out of the lineup, that takes care of itself. I think Joe Dumars pulls the trigger on him and might offload him and then put everything behind these young players. You know, then you have Trey Murphy, all this kind of stuff. But in the end, you're going to have to make the move. I just hope Zion could get it right, man, so we can be able to get him involved and keep this thing mashing on, right? Love Zion. He just got to get right, man, and get right soon. This is your team. Make them play with some respectability and accountability, man. All right, here's another article. I got two more things before we go. Pelicans will find what they're looking for in their head coach, man. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you for being here. Y'all hit that like button for me as we continue to talk some Pelicans this afternoon, right? Pelicans will not find their what they're looking for in their coaching search, right? Let's see what the writer is talking about here. This is from Yard Barker right here. The Borrego era is off to a great start in New Orleans. Interim coach began his journey with the Pelicans, back-to-back blowout losses. A little sarcasm there. Not off to a great start. So against the Warriors and Thunders, those results are particularly surprising, and wins these clash against the Nuggets likely extend the losing streak to 7 games. While the Pelicans are continuing a disappointing season, the front office is conducting a head coach search. Joe Dumars is leading this search. And there have been already 7 reported names that he's pursuing, among those of former UConn head coach Kevin Ollie and former Lakers head coach Darvin Ham. Pelicans are unlikely to find an upgrade over Borrego. I totally disagree with that. But let's see what he's saying. Even though Borrego has yet to make a meaningful impact on the Pelicans, he remains the best candidate for the job, especially if the front runners for the position are Ham and Ollie. I agree with that. This suggests that the Pelicans are not really considering some of the elite free agent coaches like Malone, Taylor Jenkins, and Mike Budenholzer. Whether it's the organization not going after them or these coaches wouldn't want to take over a dumpster fire of a team midseason is currently unclear, but it's safe to assume that the Pelicans won't be hiring a top off-the-market head coach. That's not exactly true. Plus, it is even clear that any of these names would actually be upgrades over Borrego. The 48-year-old coach has been a hot name on the market in the past several hiring cycles and was a finalist for the Cavs and Knicks job. He had some success with the Hornets as a head coach and has gotten the most out of the limited teams, especially offensively. Bringing in another head coach over him is not a clear upgrade, will raise a ton of eyebrows, not only within the organization, but also around the league. Okay, let me address that before I move on to the next point. As a matter of fact, he's right on the fact that Darvin Ham is not better than James Borrego. Kevin Ollie did some positive things in college. That doesn't nearly really translate as a professional coach, right? He did some positive stuff in college. You know, big ups for him on that. But Borrego, in my opinion, is a better pro coach, head coach than he is. He's over Darvin Ham. Hell, Willie Green and Darvin Ham are basically the same coach. They're basically the same coach, except that you can have little piggy memes of Darvin Ham, like as a coach is Darvin Ham, and it's a pig picture. I literally seen a picture of Laker people. They created a cartoon image of Darvin Ham as a pig, and he had on a suit, and one of them had on a Lakers jersey. Is that what we hitting for? But the reality is, it's not exactly accurate to say that that's all they're looking at. The bottom line is they're going to look at all these coaches, and they're not going to hire a coach in the middle of the year. They're not going to do that, and I'm going to tell you why. They're not going to hire a coach in the middle of the year because it'll be difficult for that head coach to get assistants. And some of these guys who they like assistant coaches are somewhere else. You might have a few that's not doing nothing right now, but a couple of the ones that you would want to have a part of your staff are on teams that currently are playing basketball. That's why they're going to stick with James Borrego for this year, and then ultimately at the end of the year, gauge the response. But even if James Borrego takes the Pelicans to the playoffs, that doesn't secure him being a head coach for next year. He would have to do something phenomenal, which means take the team into the Western Conference and do something like that. Like take them from what they were into the Western Conference Finals and go toe to toe with the OKC Thunder and go to 7 games, something like that. If he takes them to the Western Conference Finals, even if he gets them to the Western Conference Finals, something like that, then you have to sit up and say, you know what, we're going to keep Borrego. But any other way is something else, right? But we know that. But Ham and Ollie, they're talking to these guys, but they'll be talking to many other people. There is not a hiring that's going to happen right now. Malone, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Budenholzer, all these are guys that they're going to talk to. They're going to talk to them all. And some of these men want to get back into pro basketball with the Pelicans. I know that if you're Mike Malone and you're Taylor Jenkins and Mike Budenholzer, you're sitting up there watching the Pelicans and you know exactly what's wrong with the Pelicans. You know exactly what's going on. But with Coach Malone and Coach Budenholzer, these are championship coaches that won in the last, 5 years? Coach Mike won the championship with the Bucks with Giannis, and then you had Mike Malone won it 2 or 3 years ago with the Nuggets, the team we're playing on Wednesday. Taylor Jenkins is the Memphis Grizzlies all-time winning coach, and they had Hollins, Dave Yeager, David Fizdale, and other really talented coaches there. And he's the top guy. He's the top guy. So he is a guy that can get you competitively to win. I challenge whether or not he's the guy that could take you to the next level. You know, your best option would be probably a Mike Malone type. But outside that, just because they're talking to Darvin Ham and Kevin Ollie doesn't mean they're not going to talk to Malone, Taylor Jenkins, and Mike Budenholzer. They have time now to do an expansive interview process. They're not rushed to do anything. They got the rest of the year to talk to all of these men. That's the bottom line, right? All right, anyway, let's keep it going, man. The Pelicans have already not done themselves any favors by hiring Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver and letting them pull off one of the more questionable trades in recent memory by giving up the unprotected 26th pick. Dude, knock it off. The reputation around the league is already as low as it can be, and the head coaching hire can only make things worse. The Pelicans coaching search, like Joe Dumars' attempt to put his stamp on the organization and cut all ties with the previous regime, Borrego may be a representative of the pre-Dumars era as he has been with the organization since 2023. Yet the problem with the team is obviously not coaching. Coaching is a part of it, bro. This roster isn't good enough to compete in the stack. Well, that's a lie. And built around unreliable, injury-prone star. Well, that's true. Whichever direction Joe Dumars and co go in, in their search, they will not find what they're looking for. That is true. That is not true. Excuse me. That is not true, and that is totally not true. They are a myriad of different styles of coaches that are out there. The Pelicans have the time. Joe Dumars, Troy Weaver have an opportunity to be able to talk to all of them. There's plenty of time. And every last one of them are interested in getting back into pro basketball. They will have an opportunity to be heard. Now, the question is the question is going forward. The Pelicans do have the talent to compete. You guys see them running back and forth on the court. They're not coached properly. That's the bottom line. And this shows me how bad the team has been in a while. When Willie Green was sitting on top of them, James Borrego is not. He's not coming in as a stranger to the team. This guy was the assistant coach for the last several years. So the players know James Borrego. They're familiar with James Borrego. Many of them would go to Borrego over Willie Green. Now that Willie Green is gone, what we're seeing is a team that is undeveloped, that doesn't know what they're doing, despite all the practices that they've been doing. Right? We got to practice to get it right. They've been practicing. Hell, when they're battling, going up into games against OKC and Golden State in the last few games, the losses they've been having there, they're getting plenty of practice. This delineation between games and practice. If you're not winning, you might as well consider it practice because you're in there running around trying to make plays and trying to institute situations. That's how you really pick it up and get it in the game environment. So if they're not handling their business there, then what the hell else can happen? You get what I'm talking about? So anyway, I disagree with all that nonsense about it. They'll find the right coach if they really want it. If they want to really pay the right guy, there's a guy that'll come in here and get these players together and get the ones out of here that don't want to play or don't understand how to play. These guys are all talented. You have to get them on the same wavelength and you have to have an identity. The Pelicans do not have an identity. They haven't had an identity under Willie Green, and you won't whip one into shape in 2 or 3 games. I mean, it just doesn't go that way. So whatever happens, man. And proudest moment is the fact that we got rid of Willie Green. That in itself is a major accomplishment. And with that, we can be able to go places and build a team in a proper perspective, right? That's the big thing that I'm talking about. Anyway, let's move on, man. Let's talk about the 10 keys of victory, man, before we get on out. This is more than a flash report. Might as well consider this damn a regular show. Y'all hit that like button as we are over 30 minutes right now. That's crazy. This is the longest flash report ever. All right, here's the 10 keys to victory for the Pelicans against the Denver McNuggets, right? We got that going on, right? Number one, we got to attack Denver's interior weakness, with the Joker. Joker got to make Joker work on both sides. Joker is a guy that can score from all over the court. He's a guy that the Denver Nuggets live off of his facilitation ability. He sees the floor extremely well and cuts and backdoors and all this kind of stuff. He can hit the three. If he's unchallenged, you got to be able to make the Joker work on the defensive end too. It suffers his offense just a bit. So making him work on both ends of the court should be a strategy that Coach Borrego wants to do. So the Pelicans got to attack downhill. Now, I'm assuming Zion plays in this game. Right now, he's not, but these estimated return time, him and Sadiq Bey, is supposed to be on Wednesday. As of right now, this is Tuesday. So you got to attack downhill with Zion. I'm going to do the breakdown, the 10 keys of victory, assuming Zion is in this game. So attacking downhill with Zion, and having that type of situation. We got to feed Queen when Denver kind of switches small. We got to get that thing going on with Queen and Zion. That'll be the interesting part. Zion and Queen, those guys on the court at the same time will be interesting. Denver struggles containing them explosive drives and those post seals. Number two, pressure Jamal Murray on every touch. Can't let him just have his way. We got to be able to kind of put a little pressure on him and do what he do. Remember, he's kind of like the engine for these guys. So Herb Jones might have to have something to do about that. We're going to have to pick him up early, deny him the ball on the handoffs, funnel him into help at times and go from that. So, sometimes we got to force him into them tough mid-range attempts and kind of help stall it because he's a part of their offense as well. And him healthy with the Joker and how those guys are running are actually pretty good. That's something to kind of talk about as well. Outside of that, as we keep it going, man, we got to kind of do some other stuff too. No open corner threes, please. Pelicans defensive focus in this game, number 3, is no open corner three-pointers, please. Chasing people off screens, making them dribble more than they're accustomed to dribble, right? We got to do this kind of stuff. So no open corner three-pointers, please. Defense, closing out, making sure we take care of business there. Number 4, controlling these rebounds, with size. Denver, it has a few people. They got Giannis Valanciunas, who've been playing well with Denver. He's an interesting component. But we got to be able to control those bigs to a degree, especially the Joker, man. Like I said, making them work offensively or defensively, rather, is a big point to kind of help suffer his game. And we'll see what Coach Borrego's his lineups are in terms of what bigs he use. If they use Kevon Looney or Eves, what will be the look for there? Number 5, pushing the pace, right? Not letting Denver slow the game down. They prefer a slower half-court style to protect the defense. The Pelicans, they got to run them off every miss. They got to advance them early passes. And Trey, watching out for Trey Murphy with them trailing threes. They got to prevent Denver from setting up their defensive situation. So we got to press on these guys a little bit, right? Number 6, we got to let Zion get in there and dominate the mismatches. Like I said, if Zion's playing, we got to let him find that mismatch and dominate. His power creates issues for everybody. 4 switches onto smaller wings, attack that weak side help, use Zion as a distributor when he's doubled. Then Denver can't, they collapses easily when Zion gets downfield. We got to be able to, or down court rather. We got to be able to utilize that Zion thing. And plus on top of that, Zion is really good at seeing the open man, passing the ball out because he's collapsing the defenses and his gravity get to kicking in. But when that happens, guys got to hit those 3-pointers. They got to hit those threes. All right, number 7, must play control and efficient basketball. The Pelicans must play control and efficient basketball because Denver would try to lure them into taking these bad shots. Our keys is we got to attack the paint and not settle, right? We can't settle with these give up 3-pointers. The Pelicans, I respect Trey Murphy taking these 5, 6, 7 3-pointers from beyond the arc, but at the bottom line, when you're cold as a cucumber and you're shooting a 3 from that distance, is not hitting. We got to do something different. We got to be smarter about it when the shots are not falling from afar. We got to get to the basket, and when we get to the basket, if we get an opportunity to be blessed to go to the foul line, we got to convert that, right? We got to be able to convert. Number 8, bench production must beat Denver's bench production, right? We got to outpoint them. Pelicans must capitalize on Queens inside scoring, Trey Murphy spacing. We got to be able to do that. If we win the bench battle by 10 plus, it helps out a lot. So our bench warriors, our bench mob as it's called, has to be able to step up and help from an offensive and I would say defensive, but an offensive standpoint. If they can add extra pointage to the game, that will definitely help us out. Number 9, defend Denver's off-ball movement, right? We got to watch out for that. For Murray, Gordon, all these guys, that off-ball action they like to do. Communicate on the switches. That's another thing we talk about defense. We must communicate better. The Pelicans can't switch all into dumb matchups that don't benefit them. We can't do that. Stay attached on them backdoor cuts. Avoid ball watching. Avoid ball watching. Don't sit there watching the ball and leave the back door open for a guy to sneak through and get an offensive rebound layup. No ball watching, people. Because Denver thrives on stuff like that. We can't allow that to happen. And then finally, number 10, we got to execute Borrego's late game offense. Denver's strong in these close games due to Murray and how they do. Pelicans need Zion and Trey and these guys to get involved. Murray spacing in the corners. Chris ball movement, avoided isolation and slow possessions. And they got to get the ball around like Antonio Daniels magnificently talks about during these games about the ball has energy. Move the ball. When you move the ball, it rewards you, all this kind of stuff. He's absolutely right. We got to move the ball. Lex talks about that no other player can move faster than a ball. So this is true. So we have to be able to move that damn ball and avoid isolation in these slow possessions that favor the energy and the pace of the Denver Nuggets. And of course, we'll have to do that. So that is my 10. My 10 keys to victory for the matchup against the Denver Chicken McNuggets. That'll be in the Smoothie King Center tomorrow. So y'all feel free to let me know what y'all think on it and any of the topics and discussions covered in this PPR ISA update. It's 30 minutes. There ain't no flash report anymore. It's a damn show. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. Shout out to DC and Lex. And y'all, for some of the family members that love D, I've seen a couple of comments about people won't hear Lex sing. Lex is actually a singer. She actually has music out. I invite y'all to look her up on X, look up on Twitter, man. And I think she got some music on her stuff, man. Yeah, Lex got music out. So if y'all want to hear her sing, there's music there where y'all can vibe with Lex, man. She's very talented. All right, DC, I think he got an album coming out with him playing the ukulele. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask him about that. He kind of shy about that kind of stuff. But anyway, with that being said, listen, I'm gonna get on up out of here. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, sub up to PPR, realest in the game, man, and share the show links on your social media feed. Big Q, I'm out. I'll holler at you guys on PPR Final tomorrow. Much love, peace. Go Pels.
Subscribe now and stay up to date for all things New Orleans Pelicans.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation. Stay in the NO, you stay in the know.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.